My name is Reyes Okafor, and I am a comms specialist. That means my job is to send and receive messages, keep the team connected, and make sure nothing important gets lost in translation. I was part of a 6-person scout team sent to a small moon called KL4. Our job was simple: land, look around, take notes, and leave. Nobody told us this trip would turn into one of the strangest days of my life. Our mission paper had only 2 lines. It said, "Visit Moon KL4. Write down anything important. Do not start any trouble." That was it. No danger warnings. No special weapons. Just 6 people, 1 small shuttle, and a long list of boring tasks, like measuring rocks and checking the air. We landed early in the morning. The moon was quiet, covered in gray dust, with soft light coming from a huge gas giant in the sky. Sergeant Alvarez, our team's science expert, was already complaining about the soil before we even finished setting up our camp. "This dust gets into everything," she said, brushing it off her sleeve. I laughed, thinking this was going to be a normal, uneventful trip. I was wrong. Only 20 minutes after we landed, we saw a strange shine in the sky. It grew bigger and bigger until we realized it was a spaceship. Not just any spaceship, a large one, shaped like a curved blade, shining like oil on water. It landed a few hundred meters away from our camp, and a group of tall figures stepped out. Their leader wore shiny armor and walked like someone used to being obeyed. 6 guards stood behind him, silent and still, like statues carved from metal. "You must be the small group sent ahead," the leader said, looking down at us. "Where is the rest of your army?" I looked at him for a second, unsure if he was joking. Then I said, "This is the whole team." He laughed, a loud and dramatic laugh, like he thought I was being funny. "A joke. Good. Now tell me, who is truly in charge here? I wish to discuss this moon with your real leader." Lieutenant Chen, our team leader, didn't even look up from her notes. "I'm in charge," she said calmly. "And right now, you're standing on land I haven't finished measuring yet. Could you please step aside?" The leader's smile disappeared. He clearly expected a different kind of answer. We later learned his name was Prince Doran, heir of the Vashtu dynasty. He said his people had come to claim this moon before anyone else could. I wanted to explain that Earth didn't send armies to claim empty moons, only scientists with clipboards, but I decided it was safer to stay quiet and let Chen handle him. Not long after that first meeting, another ship arrived. This one was sleek, fast-looking, almost hungry in shape, like a shark built for space travel. A different alien stepped out, taller than the first, wearing a long silver coat. He introduced himself simply as the Prince, as if that title alone should impress us. He offered us something unexpected, a deal. "If your team quietly reports that my people arrived first," he said, "I will reward you with valuable resources and knowledge. This can benefit you greatly." Private Osei, our youngest team member, tilted his head. "You want us to lie to our own commanders?" he asked. "For a trade deal you might cancel the moment it's convenient for you?" The prince blinked, clearly surprised. "You refuse profit on principle?" Alvarez, still brushing dust off her boots, muttered, "We refuse because you're trying way too hard." I couldn't help smiling. None of us were trying to be brave. We simply didn't understand yet that we were supposed to be scared. Nobody had explained to us that 6 unarmed humans and 1 small shuttle were supposed to tremble in front of 2 royal war fleets. We were just doing our jobs, slightly annoyed by the interruptions. Then came the 3rd ship. This one skipped politeness completely. It roared low over our camp, kicking up thick clouds of dust and forcing Chen to quickly cover our equipment before it got damaged. A voice crackled through our communicator, deep and commanding. "Leave this moon," the voice said, "or we will remove you." I remember looking around at my team. 6 people, 1 small shuttle, no weapons beyond basic safety tools, and 3 separate alien war fleets, suddenly interested in a moon that, until an hour ago, nobody in the galaxy seemed to care about. But here's the strange part. We weren't scared. We were mostly confused and a little annoyed. We had already spent the morning calculating something completely different from fear. We were calculating time. How long could 6 ordinary humans keep 3 competing alien princes distracted enough that none of them would actually clash with us or each other. The answer turned out to be about a full day and most of a night. Chen didn't threaten anyone. She simply opened a channel wide enough for all 3 ships to hear at once. This moon, she said calmly, was already registered as a survey site by Earth. Before any of your ships entered this system, the claim is filed. It's official. If any of you choose to interfere with a registered survey team, you won't just be dealing with 6 scouts. You'll be starting a conflict with whatever Earth decides to send next. There was a pause. Then the voice from the 3rd ship asked carefully, "And what does Earth send next?" Osei, still checking his scanner without even looking up, answered simply, "Depends who's asking." I watched something shift in that moment. It wasn't the paperwork that surprised them. It wasn't even the mention of reinforcements. It was the fact that none of us were pretending. We weren't performing courage or bluffing confidence. We were simply doing our normal jobs while 3 royal heirs stared at each other, each wondering if the others were about to act first. Throughout that long day, we kept working. Alvarez collected soil samples while occasionally glancing at the silent alien guards nearby. Osei measured radiation levels, humming quietly to himself. I sent regular status updates back to Earth, careful to keep my messages short and calm, even though my hands were slightly shaky each time I typed. Meanwhile, the 3 princes began arguing, not with us, but with each other. Prince Doran insisted his dynasty had legal rights to the moon. The silver-coated prince argued that resources should be shared fairly among all 3 groups. The commander of the 3rd ship remained mostly silent, watching everything with sharp, calculating eyes. At one point, Doran turned to me and asked, almost desperately, "Is this truly all your species sends? No hidden fleet? No secret weapon?" "No hidden fleet," I said honestly. "Just us, some scanners, and really strong coffee." He stared at me for a long moment, unsure whether to laugh or worry. I think, deep down, he chose to worry. By the time night fell, something remarkable happened. The 3 princes, instead of preparing for conflict, began negotiating a shared agreement among themselves. None of them wanted to be the one responsible for starting real trouble over a moon that, according to us, wasn't even that interesting. I overheard parts of their conversation through our open channel. They spoke about splitting research rights, sharing resource surveys, and avoiding future disagreements over unclaimed territories. It was strange to watch 3 powerful alien leaders slowly talk themselves into peace, all because 6 ordinary humans refused to be impressed or afraid. Near midnight, Prince Doran approached our camp one final time. His guards stayed a respectful distance away this time, no longer standing like intimidating statues, but more like curious observers. "Your team," he said slowly, choosing his words carefully. "This is truly the smallest, least important group your people send?" "We're a scout team," I explained. "We collect data, write reports, and try not to cause trouble. This wasn't even meant to be interesting." He was quiet for a long moment, staring at our small shuttle and simple equipment. "That," he finally said, "is exactly what concerns me." I didn't fully understand his worry until much later. To him, our calmness wasn't reassuring, it was unsettling. If a routine, unimportant scout team could remain this steady under pressure, what would happen if Earth ever sent something they considered important? We left the moon early the next morning, our mission fully complete. All our scientific samples were collected, our reports finished, and surprisingly, without any real trouble at all. My final report back to Earth was short and simple, almost boring compared to what actually happened. Territorial disagreement observed among 3 parties, resolved through standard procedure. No further action required. I remember smiling as I sent that message, knowing it barely captured the real story. Months later, back on Earth, I received an update through official channels. The 3 alien dynasties, Vashtu, Kelurum, and Elin, had formed a new agreement among themselves. This agreement specifically stated that none of them would attempt to claim any location previously surveyed by humans, no matter how small or unimportant it seemed. They had all agreed it simply wasn't worth the risk. I laughed when I first read that report. To us, it hadn't felt like a risk at all. It had felt like an ordinary, slightly annoying day at work. Sometimes I imagine Prince Doran retelling this story somewhere far away, describing how his powerful fleet was quietly outmaneuvered by 6 calm humans, holding scanners and clipboards. I wonder if he tells it as a warning, or as a strange kind of respect. For us, though, it was simply another mission completed, another set of samples collected, another report filed. We didn't feel like heroes, and we definitely didn't feel powerful. We just did our jobs, stayed calm, and trusted that our calmness alone might be enough to prevent unnecessary conflict. Looking back now, I think that was the real lesson from that day. Strength doesn't always come from weapons or threats. Sometimes it comes from simply refusing to be shaken, from staying steady, even when everything around you seems ready to spiral into chaos. 6 ordinary humans, 1 small shuttle, and a very calm attitude turned out to be enough to prevent real trouble that day. Not because we were extraordinary heroes, but because we were consistent, practical, and unwilling to let fear control our choices. To this day, when people ask me about my most memorable mission, I don't talk about danger or heroics. I simply say, we went to measure some rocks and accidentally stopped a small conflict. Most people laugh thinking I'm joking. I never correct them. Some stories are more interesting when people think they're jokes. But every time I look up at the night sky, I remember that moon, those 3 princes, and the quiet power of simply staying calm. It reminds me that sometimes, the most important battles aren't fought with weapons at all. They're won simply by refusing to lose your composure, no matter how impossible the situation seems. And honestly, for 6 tired scouts just trying to finish a boring survey mission, that felt like enough.